If you clicked on this video expecting another over-the-top internet villain story, trust me, you're getting exactly that. But this one's different. Because the guy we're talking about today didn't just build his reputation off annoying pranks or screaming at strangers for views. He built it off insecurity, obsession, manipulation, and an audience of young guys desperate to believe there's some hidden shortcut to becoming better. And the craziest part? The internet keeps rewarding him for it. Every controversy makes him bigger. Every clip spreads faster. Every outrageous thing he says somehow pulls in even more attention. Which is why a lot of people are starting to ask a genuinely uncomfortable question. Has this guy actually become worse than Jack Doherty? For most people online, being compared to Jack Doherty would already be career-ending levels of embarrassing. Jack built his reputation by irritating the public, provoking strangers, and constantly pushing things too far for attention. But somehow, Clavicular looked at that formula and thought it wasn't extreme enough. Instead of focusing only on chaotic content, he mixed internet fame with dangerous self-modification culture, pseudoscience, and a fan base young enough to absorb everything he says without questioning it. And that combination has created one of the most bizarre influencer rises we've seen in years. What makes it even stranger is how normal everything looked at the beginning. Before the streams, before the controversies, before the debates and clips and outrage, Clav was just another teenager posting TikToks. Back in late 2021, his content looked almost identical to thousands of other accounts at the time. Dance trends, random lip syncs, basic teenage content. Nothing about it screamed future internet villain. But there was one thing people noticed almost immediately. He didn't look his age. Even as a teenager, he already had a much harsher appearance than most guys around him, and that unintentionally became the foundation for everything that followed. Over time, his content slowly shifted away from casual TikTok trends and towards something much darker, looks-maxing culture. And if you've somehow avoided that side of the internet, looks maxing is basically the idea that physical appearance is the single most important factor in life, especially for men. The entire culture revolves around maximizing attractiveness through any means possible. At first glance, some of it sounds harmless. Working out, grooming yourself better, improving your skincare, getting healthier. That side is usually called soft maxing, but the deeper you go into these communities, the more extreme things become, because eventually the conversations stop being about self-improvement and start becoming borderline body modification obsession. That's where hard maxing comes in. Cosmetic surgeries, experimental compounds, hormones, bone reconstruction, limb lengthening procedures, dangerous techniques with almost no scientific backing. And Clav didn't just participate in that world, he practically made it his entire personality. One of the reasons he stood out so quickly was because he openly admitted to doing things most influencers would never publicly confess to. He talked about injecting testosterone at an insanely young age. He discussed using controversial enhancement methods while still in his teens. And one of the most disturbing things he admitted to was experimenting with bone smashing, which is exactly as insane as it sounds. The idea behind it is that repeatedly damaging facial bones with force supposedly encourages them to heal in a way that creates a sharper jawline. Supporters of the practice try to justify it using Wolff's Law, arguing that bones adapt to stress over time. The problem is that actual medical professionals have repeatedly warned there's no scientific evidence supporting the trend in the way these communities claim. Doctors have pointed out that intentionally damaging facial bones can lead to severe complications, including nerve damage, bleeding, airway obstruction, and permanent structural issues. But none of that stopped Clav from presenting these ideas like hidden secrets the mainstream just doesn't want people to know. And because he spoke with confidence, complicated terminology, and an almost robotic certainty, a lot of young viewers bought into it immediately. That's what made his rise so effective. He didn't present himself like a regular influencer. He presented himself like someone who had figured out the system. He'd throw around scientific phrases, biological terminology, and self-improvement jargon in a way that made him sound credible to audiences too young to separate confidence from actual expertise. And once he realized people were listening, he doubled down hard. By 2023 and 2024, his content had evolved almost entirely into looks-maxing coaching, videos analyzing facial structures, videos criticizing soft-maxing, videos encouraging more extreme approaches. He frequently collaborated with other creators in the same niche, and together they created this echo chamber where increasingly dangerous ideas started sounding normal. They mocked conventional self-improvement advice and pushed viewers toward more radical methods instead. Eventually, Clav took the next obvious step, monetizing it. He launched a paid coaching system where he promised followers personalized guidance to surpass what he called their genetic limitations. Alongside that, he built a subscription-based online community filled with courses about appearance enhancement, social dominance, supplements, pharmacology, and optimization strategies. And somehow, despite being a teenager with zero medical credentials, thousands of people signed up. That's the part that really makes this story uncomfortable, because this isn't just one guy making weird videos online anymore. It became an actual business model built around insecurity, young men paying monthly subscriptions to another young man who convinced them he'd cracked the code to becoming superior. And the audience wasn't small either. His fan base became intensely loyal. Entire communities started treating him less like an influencer and more like some kind of self-improvement prophet. Then came the moment that launched him into mainstream streaming culture. In late 2025, Clav suddenly appeared in a collaboration with Adin Ross on Kick. Up until then, most of his audience came from niche corners of TikTok, YouTube, and looks-maxing forums. But Adin's audience exposed him to an entirely different level of internet attention. The stream itself wasn't even that crazy. They talked, played games, joked around, but the exposure changed everything overnight. A few days later, things escalated again when Clav appeared alongside Jack Doherty during an IRL stream. And honestly, this was probably the moment people realized just how strange Clav actually was. Because somehow, during a confrontation involving Jack Doherty, viewers ended up siding with Jack. That alone should tell you how badly things went. Clav became visibly upset during the interaction, stormed off, and instantly got clowned online for acting aggressive until somebody pushed back with the same energy. But controversy online rarely kills careers anymore. Most of the time, it fuels them. And that's exactly what happened here. The backlash only made more people curious about him. Clips spread everywhere. His numbers exploded. Within weeks of starting his streaming career, he was already hitting milestones that normally take creators years. One stream reportedly brought in tens of thousands of dollars in donations. His social media following skyrocketed across every platform. Suddenly, he wasn't just a niche looks-maxing creator anymore. He was becoming a full-blown internet personality. And unfortunately, the bigger he got, the more extreme his behavior became. One major turning point happened when he appeared on the Fresh and Fit podcast. If you know anything about Fresh and Fit, you already know the kind of environment this was. The entire show thrives on confrontation, gender debates, and humiliating guests for viral clips. So when they handed Clav the opportunity to analyze the women on the panel using his appearance rating system, he jumped at it instantly. The clips went massively viral. Some viewers applauded him for being honest, while others thought the entire thing was painfully embarrassing. What made the situation surreal was how seriously everyone treated him. He was 19 years old, yet people around him acted like he was some respected authority on attraction simply because he used scientific sounding language while criticizing people's faces. But while all of that was happening, viewers also started noticing another side of Clav that was way more concerning: his obsession with drugs and enhancement compounds. During streams, he openly recommended substances like Ozempic for weight loss and spoke about chart and anabolic steroids as if they were completely harmless. He dismissed concerns about side effects as fear-mongering and casually discussed using various compounds as part of his daily routine. Stimulants, tanning peptides, hormones, injections. It became increasingly difficult to tell whether viewers were watching a streamer or a walking chemistry experiment. Then, things crossed into genuinely disturbing territory. During one stream, he injected his underage girlfriend with cosmetic peptides live on camera. According to him, it was supposed to help contour her face. But to almost everyone watching, it looked like an unqualified teenager performing medical procedures on a minor for aesthetics. The backlash was immediate. Even many people who previously defended him started turning against him after that clip surfaced. And it didn't help that more clips appeared showing how impressionable his girlfriend seemed around him. In another viral moment, he tried convincing her to drop out of college to prove loyalty to him. That was the point where a lot of viewers stopped seeing him as just another controversial influencer and started seeing something much uglier underneath the persona. At the same time, his IRL stream started becoming increasingly chaotic. He got into heated confrontations with stream snipers, threw around slurs during arguments, threatened violence, and repeatedly acted hostile toward random people in public. The comparisons to Jack Doherty became impossible to ignore. Except now people were realizing Clav might actually be worse, because unlike Jack's usual annoying prankster behavior, Clav mixed arrogance with this weird superiority complex that made every interaction feel genuinely uncomfortable. Right now, he still has the momentum. The views are climbing, the audience is loyal, the money is flowing. But internet fame built entirely on controversy usually comes with an expiration date. Eventually, the behavior catches up to people. Eventually, the audience turns. Eventually, the consequences become impossible to ignore. The question is whether Clav realizes that before it's too late. Because at the rate things are going, his downfall doesn't feel like a possibility anymore. It feels inevitable.